And good morning, campers. Time to learn a little bit more about radio stuff at KUBS FM. That's Newport High School's very own 91.5 FM KUBS. This is an educational, non-profit, non-commercial radio station, 24/7, 365, broadcasting from Newport High School in Newport, Washington. And one of the items that plays twice an hour, every hour throughout the day, 24/7, 365. One of those items is the weather. And today I'm going to walk you through the procedures of scripting and recording a weather. So bear with me. I'm going to try to give you the whole thing. So if you pay attention carefully, you should have the nuts and bolts of what you need to be able to script, record, and produce a on-air weather here at KUBS FM. So let me get started. So here is a blank desktop, a starting desktop at a production computer in one of the production rooms here at KUBS FM. And this is what you see. Let me see here. And there's my hand. So here it is, keyboard down here. Of course, I've already introduced to you the small board. We call this a mixing board. In the radio industry, we refer to it a board. We refer to it as a board. And then, of course, we have our potentiometers. In the radio industry, we refer to those as pots. We have our inputs up above. And so you've been familiarized with that already in our introductory video for a voice recording and microphone usage. So those things you should be familiar with. There is the desktop screen once again. Now, our goal in this tutorial session is to script and record and produce a weather that can be played on air here at KUBS FM. So, looking here at the desktop, we are going to need a few things. These are my suggestions anyway. Until you've done this 50 or 100 times and it's just automatic for you, there are some things that I highly suggest. In fact, I basically insist that you do. If you're a beginner, if you're doing this for the first, second, third time, these are things you must do. If you want to be successful, you need to do these things. These are good practice. In fact, many people that have been doing this for years and years and years, they continue to do these things. They just don't wing it and shoot from the hip. They engage in these behaviors and activities to make sure that they produce the best possible product. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google, and in my Google screen, up here in my bookmark bar, I'm going to choose KXLY Weather. Yes, that's a TV radio station out of Spokane, and typically that's what I use. In the zip code area, you'll notice up here on the screen, in the zip code area, I am going to type 99156, and that will give us our Newport weather. There it is. It even says Newport, Washington, 99156. And it gives us this little bar down here that we can slide back and forth that shows the forecast for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 6 days typically. There's also additional information. If you scroll down, there are weather forecast summaries that you can use in your attempt to script and verbalize your weather effectively and appropriately. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up here to this, current conditions. In fact, when you're on air, live DJ, this is another resource to you. We're going to ignore this current information for now. We are going to look at the forecast. So here is our forecast. I'm going to set that off to the side. Now, I am going to click on Google, grab that tab, and I'm going to make a separate window off to the side. The reason for this is because now I need to script my weather. I'm going to click on Docs, give me a blank document, and now off to the side, and this is one of the cool things here about these computers here in our facility, is that we have these nice big screens where we can have windows left and right, work on one while reading off of the other, instead of having to have two computer screens for conservation of space. This is really cool. So what I've done is I've created a Google Docs window separate off to the side where I can type my script. Now, the information that I need to type my script, I'm going to go back to the window to the left. And I'm going to look for that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 day forecast. And I'm going to use this information to script my weather. So, scripting process first. The script follows specific elements and guidelines. First of all, whenever we script a weather, our recorded weathers, and these are pre-recorded, these are not live weathers, our pre-recorded weathers follow a specific script. All of our pre-recorded weathers start with "Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM." That's the first part of our script. Every time that we record a weather here at KUBS FM, we are going to use that phrase. That is the introduction to our weather. We say it every time. Anything other than that, and if you are being assessed on accuracy and effectiveness, if you're getting a grade for this, you'll be docked off, or I will not allow it to go on the air. In order to get A's, in order to pass and show proficiency in this endeavor, in this curriculum, you have to follow guidelines, and what you do needs to be airworthy. If I will not put it on the air, or if KUBS FM chooses not to air it, it is not considered airworthy, and the chance of getting an A, B, or a C are out the window. You may be able to get a passing grade, but just barely, and it will not be an A, B, or a C. In order for it to be an A, B, or a C, it must be airworthy. And 95 to 99% of the time, if your product is considered to be airworthy, you're going to get an A. That's just the way it is. The guidelines are pretty clear, and if you follow them and you are conscientious in making sure that you effectively execute these steps, should be air quality, and it should be an A. So, again, scripting your weather. At the very beginning, the opening statement all the time will be, "Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM." Now, at this point, our script is going to be produced in 3 segments after this point. Segment number 1 is always going to give the information for 1, 2, or 3 days, but we will give our weather in 3 segments. And as we look at our weather here, look right here on the screen, you will see that it gives us the weather. Today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We will look at the weather, and we will see if there are any similarities or commonalities between these days. And as I'm looking at this, the climatic conditions are pretty similar. Partly to mostly sunny, and that's what these icons mean. Here it's going to be partly cloudy. There's more clouds than there is over here, so this would be possibly partly cloudy. Here it is clear and sunny, partly to mostly sunny. So you get the idea here. If there was a possibility for rain, it would say it here as well. There would be raindrops. There would be an illustration of rain. You can also scroll down and read whether or not there's going to be a chance of rain. In this situation, there's no rain expected. So we are going to run with what's here. And Tuesday and Wednesday look like they're going to be fairly similar, within 3 degrees of each other. So if we really wanted to, we could group these 2 days as one segment. Today I'm not going to do that, though. I'm going to make Tuesday separate by itself. Wednesday is going to be a separate day. But Thursday and Friday, other than a little bit of clouds on Thursday, the temperatures are identical. The conditions are going to be so similar. So I'm going to group those. So segment number 1 is going to be just Tuesday. Segment number 2 is going to be Wednesday. Segment number 3 is going to be Thursday and Friday combined. So 3 segments. Segment 1, segment number 2, segment number 3. Those are the segments that I am anticipating to script. Segment number 1, in fact, segment number 1 and 2 are going to be basically identical formulas. Each segment we start with mentioning the day. And in this case, it is going to be Tuesday. Tuesday. We do not say tomorrow or today on recorded weathers. Very important that you understand that concept. This is a recorded weather, and it's going to go on the air sometime this morning, but it may not be replaced or updated until tomorrow. Okay, you know where I'm going here? Get the idea? So in my weather, if I script today rather than Tuesday, if I say today in relationship to Tuesday, and this weather stays recorded and on the air through to tomorrow, which would be Wednesday, but I say today, people would get potentially confused as to what day today is. Today or tomorrow today. But when I say today in my script, which today am I talking about? So we do not use terms of today, tomorrow, so on and so forth when we are conducting a recorded weather. We always use the name of the day. So today, we're not going to say. We're going to say Tuesday. So Tuesday calls for, and whenever we speak of weather, we go in the following sequence. We talk about the climatic conditions. If you to open up the window and look outside, what would it look like? And according to our picture here up on the screen, right here, which is Tuesday, according to that picture, it should be partly to mostly sunny. A few lingering clouds, but partly to mostly sunny. And that's what we are going to say first, the climatic conditions. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Okay. So we say the climatic conditions. Next, we discuss whether or not there is a chance for precipitation. If there is absolutely zero chance of precipitation, and I can confirm that by scrolling down to the explanations, here's Tuesday. Tuesday night has no discussion, no reference to any precipitation, rain, snow, sleet, or hail, grapple, mixed bag, you name it. There's no reference to precipitation whatsoever. And if there is zero reference to precipitation, we just won't mention it. But if there's any chance whatsoever, and also here, if you look on the screen here, it says 0% chance. In fact, for the next, down here in the hourly forecast, it gives you that percentage. Up here in the daily forecast, it does not. But if there is zero chance of precipitation, we can just ignore that. So Tuesday, we name the day. We give the climatic conditions. Then we give any chance of precipitation. If it's zero, we do not say anything. In this case, we're not going to say anything. So far we have Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Then we give the high temperature. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Tuesday's high, 75 degrees, with an overnight low of 46. Now, this is not English class. If we are reading this, we are concerned that our grammar and our performance is effective over the air. But the way that I'm typing it and scripting it does not have to follow those same guidelines that you would necessarily have to follow in an English class here at Newport High School. I am typing it in a manner that I will perform it effectively. So I have it typed. It's grammatically horrible, but when I read it back and I perform it, this is what it should sound like. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Tuesday's high, 75 degrees, with an overnight low of 46. I said it, but it's not in my script. My dots, that is my cue for dramatic pause. And here in the radio industry, we are performing. We are not reading from a book to people. We are attempting to communicate to them, conversationalize. We are trying to recreate relationship through the radio, through our microphones to our listening audience. So we don't want to sound like we are reading off a script. We don't want to sound like an announcer monotone. We want to sound like we're talking to them. And in some cases, when you're telling a story, little kid, around the campfire with a family, you are going to tell your stories with dramatic intention. And I put the ... dots in my scripts to indicate that's where I want dramatic pause. That's just me. However you want to do it, I don't care. The key here is that my script reflects how I want to communicate my message. It does not have to follow stringent English constructs. So, segment number 1, here it is. That is one day that I'm choosing to record. Segment number 2, I said before, I'm going to choose just to cover Wednesday. And again, for now, that's tomorrow, but we don't use terms like today and tomorrow. We use the day of the week. So tomorrow happens to be Wednesday, so I will say Wednesday. Wednesday calls for continued, partly to mostly sunny conditions. Notice up above in my script up here versus my script down here, up above in my first portion, I said partly to mostly sunny skies. For variation and word choice and effective sentence fluency, yes, those are all English terms that you've probably heard in an English class, but so that we don't have redundancy here. We have variety in sentence fluency, and it sounds fresh and different. We will use different terminology, different vocabulary to get the same point across. So in segment number 1, we said that Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies. In segment number 2, we're going to switch it up just a smidge. And we're going to say Wednesday calls for continued, partly to mostly sunny conditions. So instead of skies, we're going to say conditions. And we're going to throw in the continued, which means that tomorrow, which is Wednesday, it's going to be a continuation of what we're experiencing on today, Tuesday. So, again, climatic conditions. Again, up on our forecast, there is no chance of precipitation whatsoever, so we're going to just ignore that. But we will get into the highs and the lows. Wednesday calls for continued partly to mostly sunny conditions with an expected high of 78 degrees and a low, I'm not going to say overnight low this time, just to change it up just a smidge, and a low of 48. So there's segment 1, segment 2. Segment 3, we follow almost the same recipe. However, we do not give the low temperature. And in segment number 3 here, looking at our forecast once again, we have Thursday and Friday, and the high temperatures are going to be identical. Low temperatures, identical. A little bit of cloudiness on Thursday, nothing on Friday, but they are so similar that I'm going to group these 2 days together for my third segment. So, and Thursday and Friday, look for partly to mostly sunny conditions. Skies, I'll say, because we just used conditions in the last sentence. With highs near 71. Boom. Okay. Just so that you can see the whole thing here on the page, I'm going to do this here. Okay, so there is our script. We will not be saying segment 1. We will not be saying segment 2 or segment 3. So I will get rid of them. They are visuals for instructional purposes. But once I get rid of the segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3, you will see that what's left over is just our script. Okay? So our script reads, here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Tuesday's high, 75 degrees, with an overnight low of 46. Wednesday calls for continued partly to mostly sunny conditions with an expected high of 78 degrees and a low of 48. And Thursday and Friday look for partly to mostly sunny skies with highs near 71. That's it. That is our script for a recorded weather. We have up above, our introduction will be the same way every time. We have 1, 2, 3 segments, and in each segment we say the day, Tuesday, the climatic conditions, any chance of precipitation, and in this case none, the highs and the lows. Second segment, same deal. We say the day, the climatic conditions, the high and the low. Third segment, we say the day, climatic conditions, no chance of precipitation, so we leave it blank. But in the third segment, we just simply say the expected high temperature, and then we stop. That's it. That's all we say. Okay? So as far as scripting your weather, there's your nuts and bolts. There's how it is done. The next step to completing this process is to use that script and actually record it using Adobe Audition. So at this point, I can either minimize or get rid of that window of Chrome, and I will open up Adobe Audition. And I don't need the thing to take up the entire screen. I can go over here to View. Notice it opened up in multi-track view. If I click View and go to Edit View, there is my recording window. Just like you have already been shown in your introductory video for recording a voice recording using Adobe Audition and using a microphone, we are going to use the same procedure here. I open up Adobe Audition, File, New, 44100 stereo 16-bit, OK. I hit Record. Now, I can see already that I do have effective levels. As I look down here at my VU meter, I can see that it is bumping up to -3, sometimes over to almost 0, which means that I have effective modulation of 75 to 95%. I do not want to go over that. Overmodulation creates yucky, distorted, gross sounds, but I don't want to be below that, otherwise my levels will be too low. Also on the computer screen, I see a visual representation of my levels, and they look pretty solid. In fact, I am looking at the white line above and below on each channel. There's a left channel and a right channel, which means I am recording in stereo. And as long as my levels bump up to and occasionally above the white lines, above and below, then I'm okay. But if I am constantly above and overmodulating, that's when I'm going to get the yucky, gross, distorted, overmodulated sounds, and we don't want that. So here is my computer screen again, and I am recording away. That's fine. We can record all of this junk because later on we can just easily edit it out. So I am recording. As I look over here at my board, I know that my levels up on the screen were good, but I see that I have my microphone pot up to about 2 o'clock, 1 or 2 o'clock. My main volume, my main pot is up here around, let me get that out of the way there. Okay, about 1 or 2 o'clock. For me, in relationship to where I am with the microphone, with my voice, and with my my board, those are the settings that give me effective levels up here on Adobe Audition, where I'm modulating between 75 and 95%. So I'm all good. We're good to go. At this point, I can read my script. And here you can see I have Adobe Audition on the left-hand side, and I have my script on the right-hand side on my desktop. So I can read one and monitor the other while performing my script. So here I go. I'm going to give just a little bit of pause so that there's a dead space on Adobe Audition, and I'll know where to go back and edit out all of this garbly-goop. Okay, so here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Tuesday's high 75 degrees with an overnight low of 46. Wednesday calls for continued partly to mostly sunny conditions with an expected high of 78 degrees and a low of 48. And Thursday and Friday look for partly to mostly sunny skies with highs near 71. Okay, I stop right there. A little bit of a pause, so when I edit it, it's all okay. So I created a script. I've now recorded the script. And now to put the final production notes on it, I will click Stop on Adobe Audition. I don't need my script anymore. I'm going to minimize that. And for the purpose of you being able to see Adobe Audition in a more fuller sense, I am now going to maximize that window, and you can see the entire incident here on the Adobe Audition screen. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to hit play so you can listen back to what we just accomplished. Record. Now, I can see already that I do have effective levels as I look down here. Okay, that was me talking before. At my VU meter, I can see that out.
Blah, blah, blah.
I am recording. Okay, I recorded all that garbage
here around. Oh, let me get that out.
Excuse
of the way
me, I shouldn't
okay.
call it garbage.
About 1 or 2.
But I recorded all of that information, and the beauty of Adobe Audition, the beauty of modern day editing software and tools is that I can go find. Notice I before I said I'm going to give a little bit of a pause so I can find where to edit. That's what I did right here. Okay, there's a pause. You can see a gap there where there's little or no levels. That was me being quiet to monitor where I'm going to start recording my weather, and so that later on I could easily edit it out. So let me see if I'm correct in doing that.
Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM.
Yep, there's where it was. So in Adobe Audition, this is your first introduction to seeing how quick editing can be done. In Adobe Audition, I'm going to use my mouse, click, drag, and highlight all of that stuff that is not my weather. And on my keyboard is down here. It's just a little bit out of the view. But on my keyboard, I'm going to hit delete, boop, and that's all gone. It's suddenly disappeared, and I'm just going to trim it just a little bit, clean it up, boop. And no one will ever know on this recorded weather that I was blabbing to you for 3 or 4 minutes or 5 minutes or however long it was. To some of you, it might seem like it took forever, but no one will ever know that ever existed. That's like the beauty of this stuff. And also here, there's this other gap where I had been recording. And just to confirm that is truly where I stopped recording, I'll listen here, turn it on, with highs near 71. Okay, I stop right there, okay, and then I can highlight, hit delete on my keyboard, and all that I have left over now is my voice for my weather, my scripted weather. And you can see here, and I'll minimize that. I'll bring my script back up. And if you wanted to, you could listen to my performance. Notice I didn't say reading because we are performing here. We're injecting enthusiasm and dramatic effect, if you will, feeling. You can read the script off to the right-hand side and listen at the same time to my recording.
Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Tuesday's high 75 degrees with an overnight low of 46. Wednesday calls for continued partly to mostly sunny conditions with an expected high of 78 degrees and a low of 48. And Thursday and Friday look for partly to mostly sunny skies with highs near 71.
So there you have it. That's my recording of my weather script. And I now have my voice recorded. I'm not done, however. I still have some editing, and I have some final production tweaks to do before this can be saved and used live on the air as a recorded weather. Well, live recording, if you catch my meaning. So here's my voice. I am going to do a couple things before I proceed. My voice, I am going to highlight the entire thing. I'm going to go to Effects and Filter and EQ, Graphic Equalizer. Again, up above, I click on the Effects tab, go down to Filter and EQ, and choose Graphic Equalizer. That brings up a window for the plug-in Graphic Equalizer. It should already be pre-established at the classic V+. This is a equalizer in the visual form of a V. This is a typical traditional EQ setting for the radio industry. It bolsters your high and low ends, and it mellows out your middle parts, and on the very, very ends, it tries to get rid of your sizzling S's and popping P's. But you just take a look, classic V+, make sure that is correct, click OK, and it will send your voice through an equalization and listen to the effect.
Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds.
Notice how it gives me a little bit deeper and a smoother sound. It'll do the same thing for females, males. It's just a very classic, typical equalization, and we send it through the EQ. The next thing, if I were to chop off and look at the average levels here, they're a little bit lower than what I would like. So while I still have it highlighted, I'm going to go back to my effects, click on amplitude and compression, choose Amplify. Amplify is a word that means make bigger. And in this case, in the sound industry, make louder or quieter. In this case, again, effects, amplitude, and compression, we're going to choose Amplify. And I'm going to boost this plus 3 dB. There. Now, I'm going to bring it into multi-track view. This way, I can mix this along with other pieces of audio. So, view, multi-track view, insert. I didn't title it. It's down here as untitled, and there it is. And here in another track, I can insert something else. And in this case, I'm going to insert audio. Where's my desktop? And I want to go to the production file, and I want to open up weather. In the weather folder, there is a background piece of music called Peanuts. Traditionally, that is what we use here at KUBS FM as our background music for our recorded weather. So I'm going to open up Peanuts. And notice it is larger than my recording. Simple. I can click with my left tab on my mouse, create a visual representation, this yellow line. Now right click and split it. Click on the chunk that I want to have done, hit delete on my keyboard, and it's gone. Now notice here there is a green line within this second track of Peanuts. This green line is a volume adjustment. Right now, the volume in Peanuts is set to its highest level, and if I hit play...
Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Tuesday's high 75.
And typically, I don't want the background music to drown out the individual's content and the person who is narrating or speaking. So I'm going to grab that green line, and I'm going to bump it down. And as I bring that down, that's going to decrease the volume or the levels of just Peanuts. And here at the end, notice what I did. I clicked, and I grabbed the end and drug it down. This is going to give me a fade effect. So right there, I grabbed the green line, I clicked, and then I faded it out. I drug the bottom line down to the bottom, so I have a fade effect. Now I can go back and preview it again if I want to.
Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM.
You should be able to notice...
Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies.
Should be able to notice that now the music is not quite so overbearing over the over my vocals, over me, and it's much more appropriate now. And I'm ready to mix it down into a final file. So we have up here in the first track we have my recording of the weather. Below we have Peanuts. Edit. Mix down to a new file, and we're going to make it a master stereo output. I click OK, and here is my final file. The levels look great. They're bumping up against the upper and lower white lines, which tells me that the modulation is somewhere between 75 and 95, ideal. I could go back and listen to it again. In fact, this is always good practice. Listen to the whole thing just to make sure that it's accurate, there are no problems.
Here's a look at your weather at KUBS FM. Tuesday calls for partly to mostly sunny skies with a few lingering clouds. Tuesday's high 75 degrees with an overnight low of 46. Wednesday calls for continued partly to mostly sunny conditions with an expected high of 78 degrees and a low of 48. And Thursday and Friday look for partly to mostly sunny skies with highs near 71.
It follows my script exactly. The Peanuts behind it is loud enough to be heard and complement my vocals, but not so loud that they overtake my vocals. And at the end, it fades out. And that's it. That is my final recording. One last thing to do, and that is to go up to File, Save As. And in that weather folder, if I went to Desktop and clicked on Production, go back to the weather folder, Weather Final is what we are going to save it at. I can either double-click on Weather Final, or I can click on it once and click Save. Do I want to overwrite the existing? Yes, that was from a day or two ago, so I'm going to click Yes, and it's done. My weather has been recorded. It's been saved under Weather Final, which is the appropriate file name, and that is ridiculously important. If you change the file name even by one keystroke, put an extra space in there, one letter off, it will not play in our automation system. So it must have exactly the correct file name. So that's why before I went to File, save as, and I clicked on the existing file name because it will automatically populate down in the file name box without me having to type anything. And the less I have to type, the less chance there is a chance of messing up even one single keystroke. So I recommend that you just click on the weather final, make sure it's down here in the file name, click save. It'll ask you if you want to overwrite. That is also telling you that you have exactly the same file name as before, which is what we want. Click yes, and you're good to go. At this point, all that you have to do is now report to me or one of our assistant student station managers. Let them know that weather has been updated and it's ready to be put into automation. Once you have done that, you're done. You have scripted the weather, following the procedures very carefully. You have recorded the weather. You have edited it, produced it, and you have reported to either me or a student station manager that it is done and ready to be put into automation. And you're done. That's it. So that is the procedure of recording a recorded weather here on KUBS FM. Any questions? Come see me or replay this video again and again and again till you get it right. No, it does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And if you want to become awesome at doing this, do it again and again and again. Listen to it, make adjustments. Re-listen to it, make more adjustments. And eventually, it'll be awesome. Alrighty? Groovy. Good luck. That is recorded weather here at KUBS FM.